Good morning, congregation of Salado United Methodist Church. Today is the fifth Sunday of Lent, and our text for today is John 11, which is the story of the raising of Lazarus. Before we formally begin, I would like to make sure and tell you that although, as advertised a few weeks ago, we would be starting church on the 4th of April. My guess is that the way things are going with the coronavirus right now, we may have to back up and take another look at that. But I've just asked you to stay tuned to things that the church sends you via electronic mail and so forth, so that we're all on the same page. Now, this story of Lazarus being raised begins in chapter 11 of the Gospel of John. And I would ask you to pause this video for a moment and read the text. It's a very long one, so you may be paused for a while, but I would ask you to do that right now. What happens is that Jesus hears word from Bethany that Lazarus has passed away. Lazarus is a brother of Mary and Martha, and he was very good friends with the family, maybe one of the closest families to Jesus in the whole of John's Gospel. Anyway, Jesus delays for some inexplicable reason for several days when he is told that Lazarus has fallen ill near to death. And it raises a lot of anxiety in the disciples and others to want him to rush immediately to Bethany to lend a hand to Mary and Martha with their brother. Now, when I was in high school, I was not a particularly good student, but as a way to motivate me, I suppose, I was put into an honors English class, inexplicably, really, and we had a teacher there who was known to give very difficult assignments. And one of her assignments to our class that year, and we only had about 14 or 15 students, was a book called Waiting for Godot, which was written by Samuel Beckett. It's an existential sort of play, and I was very interested in it because it has two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, and all they do is stand on the stage for the whole duration of the play and ask, is Godot coming? When will Godot come? Should we wait for Godot? And things like that. And it's very tedious, and it drives some people crazy. And there are critics that say Godot stands for God, G-O-D, O-T. And there are others that say that no, that's not the case. But what the play does, and I went to see the play 10 years after I'd read the book, and I noticed that it makes someone very, very anxious. You just wonder, when is something going to happen? And in this particular play, nothing ever happens. All they do is stand around and wonder, is Godot coming today or perhaps tomorrow? And when I read this story for the very first time seriously, when I was in college, I noticed that it had the same effect on me as the play Waiting for Godot, because you keep waiting for Jesus to come, and when Jesus finally arrives on the third day, Mary and Martha separately come to him and say, "Oh, Master, if you would have been here, our brother would have not died." And of course, Jesus goes into the tomb eventually and asks Lazarus to awake, arise, and walk, and he does. And it's one of the great miracles of the Gospel of John. But what I want us to understand is that the anxiety created by this story is to remind us that sometimes we want things to happen in a hurry. We want things to be rushed. We want Jesus to get along with the business of raising Lazarus and stop wasting time. And the truth of the matter is, one of the things that John tries to tell us in the story is that God functions and acts on God's own time. It's not our time, it's God's time. one of the things that we need to understand about this coronavirus and sheltering in place and all the other kind of inconveniences that we're asked to do as a nation is that we want things to be over quickly. And the thing is, we need some patience. And so I would encourage you to be patient during this time that you're at home. Practice some new spiritual disciplines. Start to read the Bible, in fact, because we have all of this free time that's been given to us. And maybe when all of this is over, we'll be stronger for it. I thank you for listening, and I'll see you next Sunday.